Yes, Haman was an Amalekite. You might remember the Amalekites from Scripture, because it was the Amalekites who first opposed Israel after they crossed over the Red Sea. And most of us will remember the battle that took place down in the valley while Moses was up on the mountain with his arms held up in victory. And as long as the army of Israel could look up there and they could see Moses with those arms raised high, then they were encouraged and they went forth and they prevailed in battle. But as those arms became tired as the day went on, it caused the hearts of the Israeli soldiers to become troubled. And they ceased to be as vigorous in battle. But then and Aaron, they came along and they held those arms up. You remember the story. Well, at that time, this war between the Amalekites, this very ancient tribe, and God prevailed. And God said, destroy them, utterly destroy them. And we find it during the days of Joshua, and then during the days of Saul. You know that story where Samuel said to Saul, he says, go and utterly destroy the Amalekites. And Saul goes into battle, and he prevails. But he kept King Agag alive. And he kept back the sheep and the cattle. And when Samuel showed up, he said to Saul, he said, have you utterly destroyed them? He said, oh, yes. And then Samuel said, well, what is this lowing of the cattle and the bleating of the sheep that I hear? And then Samuel goes. He kills Agag. But yet the remnant remained. And this is the principle that I left you with yesterday on the broadcast. That many times in our lives, there's things that God says you need to get that out of your life because it's going to destroy you. But so often, we humans, we like to keep a little sin and maybe a little disobedience around for a pet, so we can bring it out from time to time as it pleases us. And we think, well, it's just a little sin. It's just a little disobedience. It's not going to hurt me, but oh my goodness. It grows and it festers. And how many times have lives been destroyed because of just a little sin? And you see, this is the thing about it, is that Haman, the Amalekite, is now in a position of power in the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians. I mean, he was in a very high place, kind of like a secretary of state, had been put there by King Azarias himself. But every time when he made that decree that whenever somebody were to see Haman, they were to bow, and this man by the name of Mordecai refused to bow, it set him off. And he was determined that he was going to destroy Mordecai and Mordecai's people. And you see, this is the spirit of the enemy of God. But here's the thing. God will always prevail, and so will God's people. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.